Welcome, everyone. My name is JR. I am the founder and owner of Business Leaders Network, where our whole mission is to build a community of emotionally intelligent servant leaders. And we love doing that through three different pillars of education, visibility, and community, where we look for small business owners who want to generate more wealth, but those who have a servant leader's heart and want to give back to help more people. I love the saying from Zig Ziglar, where he says, the more that you give, the more you're going to get back. And so for this time that we have on the round table, we want to get back to you guys, but we want to hear from other professionals that are out there making an impact and doing some cool things in the world. So stay tuned, listen to what we have going on, and at the end, if there's anyone you'd like to get in touch with, you'll have an opportunity to hear on how you can do that. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here today.
Hey, JR.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, the first person I'm going to go to is Chad. So Chad, the first question, why don't you share a little bit more about who you are, what you do, where you're from, and what inspired you to get started doing what you do?
All right. Well, I'm actually a half-breed. I was born in Texas, raised in Wisconsin, and spent my summers with my father. So, I mean, they used to literally freeze me in the winter and cook me in the summer. And then I went in the Marine Corps, married my high school sweetheart. I went in the Army National Guard, then the Marine Corps, and then started a business up 29 years ago, cleaning chimneys, and everyone thought I was insane in Dallas, Texas. I grew it to 1% of the world, one of the largest chimney companies ever. Struggled with it. Retired from running that business in 2014 while I still managed the management. And everybody was like, how are you doing that? They're watching me build a cabin, having a fun, being with my friends and family all the time. And I started helping people. And then became a business coach while I still owned it in 2019. Won the Rookie National Business Coach of the Award for the United States in 2020, right before COVID hit. And I've been helping guys build their businesses ever since.
Very cool. Absolutely love that. Awesome. Great story. Philip, same question for you. Tell us more about who you are, what you do, where you're from, and what inspired you to get started.
All right. I live in Florida, and my company works with companies on organizational culture and leadership. And I have a 31-year career with NASA. And the way I got into doing what I do is after the Space Shuttle Columbia accident, the Accident Investigation Board found that NASA's culture had as much to do with the accident as the piece of foam that hit the leading edge of the wing. And so they grounded the entire shuttle fleet and said that we weren't allowed to launch again until we fixed those cultural and organizational problems. And I was the lucky gent that they asked to lead all of those changes at the Kennedy Space Center here in Florida. And so that started me on a lifelong journey of learning more about what is organizational culture, how does that really show up within organizations, how do you work on it, and really led me to the not so startling conclusion that it really all starts with the people. It really lives inside the hearts and the heads of the human beings, and you can't really work on organizational culture without starting with the people from the inside out. So
cool. What inspired you to get started?
So what inspired me to get started with NASA was just growing up as a little nerd in Kentucky and wanting to work for the space program. And then when I saw what culture, the impact that culture could have on an organization like NASA, which to me was an incredible place to work, and actually it was named as the best place in the federal government to work right after the accident. And so I learned from that a lot of people over-focus on employee engagement when it comes to culture. And that's a critical component of it, but it's not the only piece of it. And if your organizational culture isn't driving your strategy, if it's not really helping you get where you need to be as an organization, then you're missing out on so much. And I saw how critically important culture can be. Even inside of a great organization, there can be cracks, and you could be missing out on a whole lot that could really be driving your organization forward. And unfortunately, in the case of NASA, it can actually lead to the death of people when it's not where it needs to be. And so that really created a passion in me to help drive organizations to optimize their performance and optimize the people within their organizations.
That's awesome. Love that. All right, John Prather, same question for you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey guys, John Prather. I'm a business coach and I specialize in helping content creators create cash flow by actually monetizing their content and starting real businesses. Additionally, I also help entrepreneurs and business owners start to create content to add another source of income to their existing business. To give you a little bit of background about how I got started. So for me, I have a background as a former professional football player. I grew up here in the Maryland area, played pro football, like I said, up in Canada, and indoor football out in the Midwest, and then went on to become an engineer. And during that time that I was graduating from college, I actually got approached by a network marketing opportunity. And, I was the typical, grew up, go to school, get a good education, get a good job. And I saw a lot of my family members and friends who kind of followed that path, and some had success, others didn't. And around the time I was in college, I was really looking for a change. So network marketing came my way, and kind of right place, right time. Got exposed to mindset, entrepreneurship, grassroots, kind of networking, team building, selling products. And it really taught me the base skills of entrepreneurship, of how to start your own business, manage your finances, on a small level while still pursuing my full-time job. It was able to scale that, continue to grow it, still work that business today. And then in addition to that, have built on a coaching business where I'm helping, like I said, content creators and entrepreneurs. So still work full time. Like I said, I have a background in sports and just, passionate about helping people and showing them different ways of creating income, especially in today's economy with AI and, everything that's coming with that.
Love that. So many different things. Very talented. For me, on February 7th, 2007, I survived a suicide bombing in Barwana, Iraq while I was in the military. And a guy killed himself about 7 feet from me, which changed the whole trajectory of my life and who I am. And I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So it's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And so I knew I didn't want to deploy back to Iraq. I did my thing. I wanted to have family and was kind of figuring out, I was like, do I want a family or do I want a career in the military? And so I ended up getting out of the military, and that was shortly after in 2007, and started a martial arts school, grew that, sold it, and built a fitness business in 4 cities. And then in 2016, I started business consulting. And but I want to kind of go back in 2008. I didn't know anything about business, and so I hired a coach who showed me how to start, grow, and build a business, mainly from leveraging events to create offers, and how to sell to a group from a stage in person. And hosted my very first event at my martial arts school and closed $270,000 in new contract sales. And that changed my life. I was barely making $1,000 a month at that time. And so that literally changed everything for me. Well, I was able to take that same process over and over again and teach more than 1,000 plus entrepreneurs do the same thing through there, and eventually morphed it into what I launched in, I think it was unofficially in 2020, and then officially with a new entity in 2022 called Business Leaders Network. And the whole mission of Business Leaders Network is to build a community of emotionally intelligent servant leaders through education, visibility, and community. I know I don't know all the answers, but I find people like you guys who do know the answers to different things that can help serve other people in our community for other growth. And so even though my specialty and what I love doing from a business standpoint is like going through your business plan and learning that stuff, that's great. But how do you actually generate real revenue? And for me, the medium to vehicle to be able to do so is through in-person experiences. And I found out that people just are really bad at networking and connecting. And where I started BLN was because I was already had a ton of coaching clients. I would teach them how to network, and I was like, wow, you guys need more help than just this. So I said, why don't I create my own networking community and organization that's focusing around education and visibility and community, and that's how BLN came alive. And I was inspired to start my one-day events mastery through my first event from my first coach. I still do the same things that he taught me back in 2008. I still do in practice today to build my organization. And then I love serving a community of entrepreneur leaders, and that's where my heart's at, is finding entrepreneurs, but also connecting so I can help bring more people to you guys. The fastest way to grow your network is leveraging other people's networks. So that's what inspired me, and I love bringing other people together and helping each of them and you, people like you, to start, grow, and scale your guys' business further. And most of the time, it has nothing to do with anything other than making that right connection. As Russell Brunson says, you're one funnel away, but I like to say you're one connection away. So yeah, so we're all here to grow, and this is just one piece of it, and that's how BLN became alive, and what we're doing today. All right, next question. I'm going to start with you, Philip, since you're in my upper left corner. Why don't you share one of your best client success stories? Where were they at when they started with you, and what did you help them achieve?
So one of my best success stories is actually the Virginia DMV, and The governor had brought in a new commissioner to drive transformation within the DMV there in the state of Virginia. And as you can imagine, they needed some help. So they needed some improvement in several ways. And so we worked with them over the course of about 3 years. And during that time, they were awarded the Business Transformation and Operational Excellence Award for the world. They are also received Time and Popular Science's 2025 Innovation of the Year. Their operational performance went through the roof. Their average wait times in the DMV, it dropped from more than 30 minutes to under 10 minutes per person. Employee turnover dropped from 27% to under 12%. And they saved over $15.6 million per year as a result of the work that we were doing. And the really amazing thing is where this transformation started, and a lot of where this comes from is, transformation, it begins inside of the leaders that are leading the transformation. You can't expect other people to go where you haven't been yourself. I think you probably know that if you've got the military background, the two of you there, like you can't just send your soldiers out there and say, I've never been out there, but you guys go do that. You have to precede organizational transformation with personal transformation. And so we worked very heavily with the executives within the DMV to help them level up and to transform themselves to where they were in a place to where they could really begin interacting and having conversations in ways that they never had, and looking at data and really seeing it and being able to accept what the data was telling them, not reject it, not make up stories, be able to hold themselves and each other accountable in ways that they never had before. And this really transformed that organization in very, very meaningful ways.
Well, thank you, because I live in Virginia, so I know it probably impacted me in some way. I just didn't see it, so that's awesome. Congratulations. All right, John Perry, the same thing for you. Tell us one of your best client success stories. Where are they at when you started with them, and what did you help them achieve?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of my client success stories I can definitely talk about is a member of my team that I was working with actually originally within network marketing. And they were a student, young professional that just got started in their career. And as we were helping them build their network marketing business, one of the things that we started to teach them how to do was how to basically start to monetize their content. So they were one of the entrepreneurs that I helped create the content. So we started utilizing YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok to build their following up, creating, value-based posts, engaging with their, they had a pretty sizable following on social media. So we assisted them in doing that. And over the course of about 6 to 9 months, this individual was able to double their following on social media. I think they had about, 5 to 10,000 followers across all platforms, and we're able to scale it up to about 15 to 20,000. I think in that 6 to 9 months, and they were able to get monetized on YouTube, start making money with I think Facebook and TikTok as well. And we were able to help them not only continue to build their network marketing business, but we were able to help them actually create another source of income through their content. An additional cash flow of I think a few $1,000s, and he's continued to scale since then. So that's one of the immediate clients that we've worked with, among many others.
Love that. Cool story, man. Chad, same question for you. Tell us one of your best client success stories.
Yeah, so I took on a gentleman about 4 years ago who was a recovering drug addict and alcoholic. He had built his service business up to around $700K. He was in the middle of a massive lawsuit from his former boss. And he hired me to just business coach him and help him start scaling his business. At the time, he was all over the place trying to figure it out, kind of stuck at where he was. Only started the business like 18 months. So he went really fast to 700K, which was super impressive, but he's like, he felt stuck, and a lot of stuff he was like not real good for business. Like no one teaches you to be a business owner, right? And so that's why everybody should read the E-Myth Revisited, so that you kind of get that mindset as how you start building a business. And I just started working on his mindset first, and then started with the systems, sales process. And this guy is last year he invoiced 3.8, and he's going to do 4.5 this year million. He's in the middle of purchasing a 20,000 square foot facility, which he way can afford, and has the cash flow to put the down payment on that. It's like $1.8 million. And he is just is skyrocketing everything. And he has another business coach. I think he's firing today because this other guy is kind of more of a financial guy that really gets into the numbers, who told him he was going too fast. And he's like, fast is relative, right? And so he's not going too fast. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. I hold him back on some things, and he's just right on fire with everything he's doing. Building the culture. He's at that point where turnover is really starting to happen, because who got you where you are today aren't going to get you where tomorrow a lot when you first starting, right? Because some people can only do so much, and then you got to get people that are better A players as you're going. And we're in the middle of A player finding for him, and it's doing very well. So he later started with 6 employees. Now he has 19, and he's hiring 2 more.
I love that. That's awesome. That's a beautiful story. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And for me, you know, I have several, but one of them I wanted to share is an attorney that joined my one-day events mastery program about, I want to say it was 2 or 3 years ago. He lives out of Texas, so he lives in Dallas, and he's not far from where you're at, Chad. And I wanted to share this story because most people don't think that attorneys will host an event to build their business, and he did. He hosted an in-person experience. It was an event where I actually went there to speak as well, so he had other speakers. It was a micro summit, had about 30-plus people in that room, and he closed $23,000 profit from that one experience. Now, not huge profits. I mean, that's still very, very good and decent. But he started making events as part of one of his biggest lead gen tools to grow his business, whether it's from retreats to micro summits to workshops, whatever it may be. And to me, that's a beautiful story to be able to start building. I love events because it helps shrink the sales cycle faster, where you don't need to jump on a lot of different sales calls, but you get people in a room. I mean, especially from the network marketing side, where do they teach you how to build? It's through events. Got to get in the house, right? So got to create that environment. So that's the fastest way to be able to build it. But you know, I did want to share one specific thing within BLN as a whole and how it can really change your thought process with that connection. Is like, okay, that same attorney has been part of my BLN community since I started. So he was one of the very first people that got into the community. He's still active in there. He's speaking at 2 with my 3 next events coming up. So one in DC in April, and then Denver in August. And so I love him showing up, and he was with Utah with me last year whenever we spoke there. And so he's traveling around speaking at our events and hosting his own events. But you know, one other particular, you know, this girl, and it's not from a money standpoint, but from one connection. And when she came to our community about 3-4 years ago, was up in DC. She was that quiet girl that kind of like at a school dance that just sits on the bench and doesn't talk to anyone. And I went over there and I was like, hey, you got to open up a little bit. You're never going to score a point if you don't throw that punch. So we got her to open up, and she ended up being a really great friend of mine. Coming to find out, we go to the same church too. And so didn't realize that we both live about 45 miles south of D.C. in a town called Stafford, Virginia, and found out that we go to the same church. And I started connecting her with one person that in our church that was building the men's ministry. And I connected her with another person that helps other ministries build and grow. And then she was able to help both of them. And now she's on like helping our church with more marketing. And so I was standing on stage a few weeks ago and playing during worship on a Sunday. And I'm seeing her in the back helping to manage the slides and AV and whatever like that. And I'm like, man, that all happened because of one connection. And that's the power of our community of BLN. Everything happens with one connection. I was on a call right before this interview right now, and my phone was going off, and I just saw a group text, like a connection that I made yesterday with some people within our community. And the only thing I saw was paid. They didn't pay me, but I mean, they're part of our community. But I just connected 2 BLM members, and they said paid. So I was like, man, that must have turned to some sort of transaction in business. But it always starts with that next connection. And so I love our community for what we stand for and just the connections that are being made. And so it's just a very powerful place to be able to do it. All right, kind of moving on. So John, you're going to go first on this one. Tell us more about the type of people you like to work with, and how can someone get in touch with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So my ideal client that I work with, like I said, is number one, somebody who is a content creator that's looking to actually scale their income and monetize it. They're consistent posting, but they're not really making the money that they want to make, and teaching them how to basically use AI and affiliate offers to start actually creating a business outside of just the content. And then the second individual would be an actual entrepreneur or business owner who has a legitimate business that's making them revenue, but they want to become more findable to their ideal client. And that's where content and creating social media posts can allow other people all over the globe to actually find you. So those are the two ideal clients that we work with personally. I would say you can just go straight to my website at johnprather1.com, and you can connect with me directly there, or you can find me on all social medias at johnprather_1, and we can connect there, and I can help you in whatever journey that you're looking to be guided on.
Love that. Chad, how can someone who do you like to work with, and how can someone get in touch with you?
Well, I mean, any business owner really, but my niche is really helping serve home services businesses. I mean, because there's two parts of what we do. I'm a consultant and I'm a coach. So I can coach anybody. I can coach the president of the United States if I wanted to, but because you're listening and asking questions, right? So you're doing that, getting in their own mind. But consulting, that's my world, to where I'm helping you with the systems, the mindset, the everything that has to do with a service business, home service trades, remodelers, HVAC, chimney companies, maid services, all that kind of stuff. And I get that business initially with the right mindset, the superpowers of the culture, and then start building those sales processes and the systems to start making money immediately. Like, you hire me, I'm free, because you will make more money your first month working with me than you did before. So I become free. And I think you found me through Facebook groups and stuff, but Stop Working Broke is my ultimate name for my home services coaching. And so YouTube Stop Working Broke coach is the channel, and you'll have plenty of content to go down the rabbit hole of Chad Murray in that.
I love that. Dude, that's awesome. Congratulations. Philip, who's your ideal client, and where can they find you?
Yeah, I love to work with leaders who really get that culture matters and see it as a competitive advantage. Leaders that are wanting to build a legacy and see what they leave behind as part of that legacy. We help companies that are struggling to grow, or maybe are even growing but growing too fast and are trying to figure out, how do we keep hold of the great culture that we've already got. So it's not necessarily about having a broken culture that needs to be fixed. Oftentimes it can be about just taking a good culture and tweaking it so that it becomes great. And it's really that key that unlocks the next phase of your growth or your development. And that's who we really love working with. You can find me, my company's called Gallagher Edge. You can find us online there. You can find me on LinkedIn. And if you are interested, we've got a little free survey that you can take. It's a mini assessment for your culture. You can find that at mlmini.com, and go take that and check it out and see if there's any little holes in your culture that you might not be aware of.
I love that. That's awesome. Congratulations. Well, for me, I really like to find those servant leaders. They're small business owners who exemplify servant leadership and desires to give back more than they tried to receive. And we're all going to get more business, but I believe the more that we give, the more we're going to get. And so I'm looking for those servant leaders who are small business owners that want to come in and knowing that they got people in their community that has their back. And so Business Leaders Network, our mission is to build a community of emotionally intelligent servant leaders, and then we do so through education, visibility, and community. And so if you are a small business owner, we'd love to have you. And the best way to get in touch with us is through our website, which is blncommunity.com. That's blncommunity.com. And then you can check out more about who you are, see some testimonials, and click on Join Now. Well, that concludes for today for our roundtable discussion. And for everyone that's out there listening, if you heard something that impacted you and you're like, man, I really want to get in touch with this person, make sure you get in touch with them, follow through, and make sure you start that conversation. Until next time, Semper Fi.